Hey there folks! My name is Amiibo Jason and welcome to another episode of the Nintendo Wiretap, this time for June 20th, 2018. Once again, we are going to be taking a look at one of the E3 experiences we had earlier last week, and that is with the amazing Pokémon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu. Now, we were lucky enough to get hands-on time with not only Pokémon Let's Go Pikachu, but also the amazing Pokeball Plus controller. This controller really exceeded my expectations, and I'm going to give you guys a good idea of what it does in game. But first and foremost, I'm going to give you guys an idea of what these games have in store for you. Now, as it was reported before, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu take place in the Kanto region, so for someone like me who grew up playing Pokemon Red and Blue, it's really neat to see this kind of world come to life in full HD on the Nintendo Switch. Now that being said, this is not a direct one-for-one recreation of Pokemon Red or Blue. If you've seen any of the trailers for Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee, you should know this is almost a reimagining of Pokemon Go told in the Kanto region. Now that being said, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Our demo got started in the Viridian Forest. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind about Pokemon Let's Go is that instead of having random encounters, you instead see Pokemon on the world map. If you want to, let's say, try to capture one, all you have to do is walk up to it. On the contrary, if you're looking to avoid said Pokemon, all you have to do is walk around it. Now that might be easier said than done, because at some points in the game when I was playing the demo, I had really no choice but to run into one of these Pokemon. There was so many on the map at once. But that being said, once you do start one of these encounters, it really plays out exactly like Pokemon Go does. You see the Pokemon on the screen, and you throw a Pokeball at it. You also have access to berries, just like you do in Pokemon Go. Every berry has a very specific purpose. Some will give you more experience, and some will make it easier to catch particular Pokemon. Also making a return is the capture circle. The circle gets larger and smaller, and depending on when you throw the Pokeball, you could get a great, a nice, or a perfect throw. Now, I was lucky enough to be using the Pokeball Plus accessory when playing this game, and let me tell you, it really did add a lot to my experience with this title. Just like you could see in the original trailers for this game, the Pokeball Plus is an all-in-one accessory that allows you to control your character on screen. It has an accelerometer in it, so you can throw the Pokeball at the screen to capture a Pokemon. Now, just like the Wiimote and the Joy-Con, there is a strap that you put around your wrist that makes sure you accidentally don't throw this thing at your TV. But it also takes it a step further. On top of just the strap, there's a ring that you put around your finger that adds an extra level of security so you can't lose control of the Pokeball. Throwing the Pokeball was pretty simple. It did take me about one or two throws to get it exactly right, but after a while it definitely did become second nature. One thing I do want to point out is I did attempt to throw a curveball. I tried to spin the ball just like you can in Pokemon Go, and it's a lot easier said than done. I don't know if this is a mechanic that's not going to make it into the final game, or if there's just not going to be any curveballs whatsoever, but that being said, I could not recreate it with my time with the demo. After a few encounters, it was pretty simple for me to get great throws almost every single time, but just like Pokemon Go, Pokemon jump out of the Pokeball pretty often, and with no way to weaken said Pokemon, it's kind of a matter of luck if you do end up capturing them. Now, I know a lot of people might complain that this is not what Pokemon is, but personally, I kind of think it's a nice way to get younger audiences into an RPG like Pokemon. I have a young daughter who's far too young to start her very own Pokemon adventure, but this is a really good segue for her to get to know the characters and really have a fun time with the game. And the two-player mode makes it easy for me to pick it up with my daughter and have a good time. Now, the next part is definitely the biggest Pokemon theme in this game, and that is the trainer battles. This is by far the most like Pokemon this game actually feels. When you encounter another trainer, just like a traditional Pokemon RPG, you can select your monster, select your move, and get into a traditional Pokemon battle. This was one of the coolest things I saw with this demo because it really made me feel like this was a retelling of Pokemon Red and Blue. It felt like Pokemon, and it definitely looked like Pokemon, so it was a really cool segue from the Pokemon Go style mechanics I was used to in the earlier parts of the demo. After I completed all of my trainer battles, I ended my demo by capturing my very first Pikachu. One of the coolest things about the Pokeball Plus accessory is that once you catch a Pokemon, you can hear it inside the Pokeball. The Pikachu one in particular was really cool because unlike the other Pokemon that have their original cries, this one has its more anime-inspired sound effects. It was really neat hearing the Pikachu moving around inside of the Pokeball, and in my opinion, this is one of the biggest selling points of this unit. And the fact that you can actually use this device as a Pokemon Go Plus, for me, it's a no-brainer, so I'm definitely going to be picking one of these up on launch day. But that was my main impressions with the game. Overall, it was a weird mix of Pokemon Go and a traditional Pokemon RPG, but I really liked it. The mechanics, everything about the capturing mechanic was flawless. And like I mentioned earlier, this is a really cool segue for younger Pokemon players who are just starting to get into the game. So, what do you guys think about this? Are you excited for these games? Are you planning on picking it up? Are you boycotting them? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. And that's going to wrap up today's episode of the Nintendo Wiretap again for June 20th, 2018. Now, once again, we want to thank our amazing Patreon supporters for helping make this show a reality. If you want to help support an episode of the Nintendo Wiretap, you can do so by clicking the link in the description down below or heading over to patreon.com/NintendoWire and making your donation right there. That's it for today, guys. I'll see you tomorrow with yet another episode. Bye, guys.